Alrighty, so this is Diesel We the People News. We're at it again. Now, on this series, this is actually going to be the last one, okay? I say that, but you never know, right? But, yeah, it's going to be the last one on this series, okay? It could be shorter, but the video would be longer, and I'm just taking it piece by piece for my benefit, okay? If you want to watch the whole thing, which is the first 3 was an hour and a half long, and the last part was 45 minutes. If you happen to be one of them type of people, go to where the storm clouds are gathering, okay, and go through it that route, right? Again, my video is just more along the lines to help me of my retaining disorder, where I can separate them out, study one section, study another section, over and over and over to learn, okay? Some of you guys can probably pick up things much quicker than I can. So again, this is for my benefit, and I'm willing to share with y'all, okay? So that being said, this is Diesel We the People News, and this is a learning video. I'm not giving legal advice or anything like that, okay? This is just a learning video, thinking outside the box. I'm not going to give, I may not even give my opinion. I might. Alright, but he's pretty blunt enough for the both of us. Alright, I'm going to stand on this video at long arm's length, because I do not have the full knowledge of this. So I had to do research on it, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just stand at arm length, okay? However, I never look straight forward. I always look around me to be able to protect myself by any means necessary. People, quit putting your minds in a box and always escape from the box, right? If you keep your mind in that box, then you're a prisoner in your own head. Okay? We've been fighting these things for years, and then the definition of sanity is keep doing the exact same thing over and over and over. Is this true and correct? I don't know. Okay? However, I'm just saying that we've been doing these other things over and over and over. It's not been working. Matter of fact, every single time we wake up, we lose more rights. So how are we doing the exact same thing actually helping us? Okay? That's, I mean, pretty cut and dry. Alright, let's go ahead and finish this last part up, right?
Notification of suspected identity theft. Okay, this is Title 26. This is the IRC. This is the IRS. 89,000 new agents. Boy, oh boy, I can't wait to put them motherfuckers to work. All right? In general, the Secretary determines that there has been or may have been an unauthorized use of the identity of any individual. The Secretary shall, without jeopardizing an investigation relating to tax administration, remember, all these heathens, hooligans that are engaged in commerce aren't paying their motherfucking taxes. All right, so now we've got an identity theft where these people under Title 26, 2603, 2602, 2001, 2002, anybody in constructive possession of decedent state property is liable for the transfer taxes on a carryover basis, and as such, we have a claim on identity theft for tax evasion. These motherfuckers are using your private intellectual property, your juristic person, and they're not paying taxes on it. How do we know that? They never filled out an SS-89 form and paid the $5,000 fee that it takes to get permissible purpose and use to utilize your Social Security account. As soon as practical, notify the individual of such determination, provide instructions on how to file a report with law enforcement regarding the unauthorized use, identify any steps to be taken by the individual to permit the law enforcement to access personal information. See, they're even saying that law enforcement needs your consent, and even in order to even move forward, the individual during the investigation provide information regarding actions the individual may take in order to protect the individual from harm relating to the unauthorized use, right? The identity theft, the invasion of your fucking privacy. offer identity protection measures to the individual, such as the use of an identity protection personnel identification number, which is the IP PIN number that you can now get through online on the IRS website, all right? Why am I pointing all this out to you? Well, because it's important. If you're going to nail CPS to the wall, let's send their motherfucking asses to Guantanamo Bay. Enough's enough. I don't give a fuck if they were authorized by the judiciary or the legislator or anything else. These people are invading your privacy, violating your unalienable right. Not a constitutional right, motherfuckers. You don't have constitutional rights. Get that fucking shit out of your fucking head. You don't have constitutional rights. You have unalienable rights to live peacefully, sensibly, in your own domain, in your own fucking castle, without being unjustly molested by a bunch of heathenish rat bastards that they themselves are guilty of the very fucking acts that they're sitting there trying to accuse you of. That he who has not sinned cast the first motherfucking stone. Ain't nobody on this planet ain't got no dirt on them on their good name. That's just how it rolls, all right? Shit rolls downhill and it rolls uphill in their profession. And none of these people are without sin, all right? So don't let them demean you, belittle you, try and speak above you as though there's some fucking overeducated wretch that can lord over you and tell you how shit's going to be. You can tell them to fuck off properly, all right? So then we're going to get into Title 28. This is Title 17, Chapter 2, Part 248. Subpart C, subsection 248.201 of the CFR, and it gets into identity theft, number 8, okay? And number 8 is identifying information. This is where we're going to find out what elements constitutes identity theft, all right? And this is all tying into CPS and any other business, furthermore, for that matter. If anybody's got your private intellectual property without your express written consent, what are we going to do? Give it to me. There's 6 fucking questions we're going to ask. Who, what, where, when, how, and why. What did you pay for it? When did you get it? Who did you get it from? Why did they have it? When did you inquire about it? Did you buy it? Did you sell it? How did you acquire it, right? Who, what, when, where, how, and why? What date, what time, what place, what caused you to take interest in this private intellectual property? Are you making a profit from it? Where are you getting your source of funds? Who else may have this information at this point? We're just gonna drill these motherfuckers until they're on their knees crying and begging for forgiveness. Now remember, the good Lord tells us that we must forgive our fellow brothers and sisters for they know not what they do. So if you can find it in your heart and all the animosity that you've built up from them meddling in your private affairs without just cause, rhyme, or reason, invading your fucking privacy and taking your offspring from you, well then I guess you're probably a better man than me. I have a fucking hard time with that, and I have a bone to pick with these fucking motherfuckers. And that's why I do these videos for you guys. Hopefully they help you. Yes, I'm brash. No, I'm not a fucking rabbi. I didn't go to Jerusalem to study the Bible. All this shit was shown to me and written on my heart a long time ago. But I was in denial. I wanted to defy him. I didn't want to accept what he was there to show me. And I wanted to do things the hard way like I always do, like a fucking knucklehead. And eventually I got beat down into submission where I had no choice but 16 days in prison to read the fucking Bible because he stripped me of all my legal effects, denying the due process of law, but it was by his hand and his grace alone to show me something greater than myself, all right? So, number 8, this is Title 17, CFR, Chapter 2, Part 248, Subpart C, Subsection 248.201, Identity Information. Identifying information means any name or number that may be used alone or in conjunction with any other information. That's right. It could just be the Social Security number by itself. It could be your name by itself. It could be a number of things that identify your persons, your entity, or even you as a man. To identify a specific person, including any name, Social Security number, right? Here we are. Follow me. Stay with me. Any name. Okay, any name that you've been known to use.
And I'll just stop there. Your offspring. What are they going by? Social Security number, their name, all that. They're tied into the courts. What? The judge says you don't have Constitution in his domain? Well, why not? What jurisdiction am I under? What contract did I agree to without the full hand knowledge of the fact? Judge, you need to explain yourself to me. Because I do not see any shape, form, or fashion that I entered any contract or you have any jurisdiction to deny me of standing on any of the Constitution. Explain yourself. And how did you steal my kids' information? Wink, wink, kids. Right? That's what they call them. Child, whatever. Offspring. They're using the offspring's identification number. Alright, well, you guys heard enough.
Or any bifurcated name that you use, or any conjunction with that name that you use as a form of identification, a nickname, aka, whatever the fuck it may be, social security number. They are not engaging in these administrative courts without having this right here. Why? Because they don't get fucking paid without it. Date of birth. Who knew that your date of birth in conjunction with your name constitutes identity theft? Now, when you can conjoin the name, the social security number, and the date of birth, they've effectively stolen your person without your express written motherfucking consent. That's identity theft. Okay, these are elements of identity theft. Official state or government issued driver's license, son of a bitch. If the DMV sold your private intellectual property to other agencies and they are now utilizing that, causing you harm, damage, and loss, and they cannot prove that they have express written consent to use that information, guess what? They're engaged in identity theft. That's any officer on the side of the road compelling you to give them your credit card. And I'm going to tell you right now that a driver's license is in fact a credit card. I can fucking prove that. But just know that it's true. If you don't believe me, read Title 15, 1601 through 1692, where it clearly articulates that any fucking card is a credit card, especially when it's tied to this right here. Okay, and the birth date and the certificate number on the birth certificate and the fucking name makes it a credit card. All right, so when an officer on the side of the road demands you give him a credit card, you might say, "Fuck you, you thieving, lying, looting, painter, piece of shit trying to fleece the estate." Or identification card number. Just the number alone on an identification card is directly tied to the social security number, and the social security card is again a credit card, a line of credit to an account. Alien registration number, government passport number, employee or tax payer identification number. Ladies and gentlemen, all of this constitutes identity theft. All right, any of this information right here just mentioned to you, used by somebody that you haven't given express written consent to use, including CPS, is engaged openly in identity theft. And how do we prove it? Well, we make them fill out the SSA 89. And we ask them to prove up their express written consent from us, we the people, to utilize our persons. Because remember, the Fourth Amendment says we have the right to be secure. We the people have the right to be secure in our fucking persons, right? And we can ram that down their throat all fucking day long because it's legal evidence of law that must be observed by every court from the highest to the motherfucking lowest. Unique biometric data. No shit. You mean my vocals, my retina, my butthole print, your labia, all of that shit is biometrics, okay? And it's all private property that they need express written consent to have images of or utilize in their database that they're selling for private profit and gains. That constitutes identity theft. Your retina, your visage, or not your visage, but your vein patterns, your hair follicles, your sweat off your fucking testicles, for fuck's sake.
And I'm going to go with your driver's license. All information that's on paper is a graven image of you. Because all this information is not you. It's a copy of you that is a graven image. I would start using graven image in your paperwork just to scare them a little bit, right? Because now you're putting the Bible in text of what they're doing. Just saying. Even for a non-religious person, you guys out there, nothing scares them more than some type of religious things in the paperwork.
People is biometric data, such as fingerprints, voice print, retina, or iris images, or other unique physical representations. DNA, everything, ladies and gentlemen, qualifies as identity theft. if it came from your butthole, a fecal matter constitutes as biometric data. Yeah. Unique electronic identification number. Son of a bitch. That means anything that's directly tied to this social security number, okay, date of birth or name, and is used electronically, right, constitutes as identity theft. Address, okay, if you have an address that's tied to your social security juristic person, that constitutes as identity theft if they don't have express written consent to utilize it. So what do? We ask who, what, where, when, how, and why. How'd you get it? Where'd you get it? Who'd you pay for it? How much did you pay for it? When did you use it? How long have you been using it for without my consent? Are you using it to defame me, slander me, ruin the reputation of my person or myself as a man? Right? Who, what, when, where, how, why, and what the fuck are you doing with it? Or routing codes, right? Any routing codes that are associated with your name, social security juristic person, date of birth, all right? Passport, driver's license, identification card, okay? Or telecommunications, and this is where it gets fun. I love telecommunications because anything by way of wire. Don't give a fuck if it's a telegram, SOS through fucking, what do they call that when you do the SOS thing? Dun, 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 dun. Morse code. Okay, anything by way of wire is governed by the United States Postal Service, ladies and gentlemen. That means telephonic communications, electronic communications by way of internet, that's interstate trafficking and commerce, okay? If they're doing it by way of internet, if they're soliciting your information, selling your information, whatever they're doing with your private intellectual property without your express written consent, constitutes telecommunication identifying information or access devices as defined in Title 18 USC 1029E. Now, let's just break it down a little bit further.
I'm going to pause there right quick, even in. Think about this, y'all. If there is even cancer in your body, that is your property and you have a right to have it removed. However, you also have a right to keep it. Why? Because it is your property. Just saying, right down to the nitty gritty. We're talking about identity theft and properties and this, that, here, and there. Cancer is still a property of yours. If you have it, it's yours. Whether you want it or not. You know, you can opt out and try to get rid of it. That is your right. However, you also have the right to keep it. Okay? I'm just saying, y'all.
17 CFR Chapter 2 Part 248 Subpart C Subsection 248.201. Again, this applies to CPS. Nail these motherfuckers to the wall and let them fucking scream in agony as they get fucking pounded into the ground where they rightfully fucking belong. Alright, I don't want to see anybody lose their life over this. There are things worse than death. We can leave these motherfuckers destitute. Make them do the fucking walk of shame. 9. Identity theft means a fraud committed or attempted using the identity information of another person without authority. Express motherfucking written consent. Alright? This is why people pay to go to my classes, because this is how I drill it to your fucking head. 2009, Section 16, CFR 603.2. I'm showing you all the places I'm finding this stuff. This isn't conjectural horseshit. This isn't just something I woke up one day and said, this shall constitute identity theft. No. This is painstaking, hour after hour, night after night, doing a fuck ton of research that 90% of the people out there will not do, and bringing it to you in layman's terms so you can comprehend and understand how much fucking power you have. The term identity theft means a fraud committed or attempted using the identifying information of another person without authority. So not only is it found in Title 15, Title 18, 17 CFR, 16 CFR, the Federal Trade Commission's definitions, it's also found right here. Code of Federal Regulations. The term identifying information means any name or number that may be used alone or in conjunction with any other information to identify a specific person, including any name, social security number, date of birth, official state or government issued driver's license or identification number, Alien registration number, government passport number, employer or tax identification number, unique biometric data such as fingerprints, voice print, retina, or iris images, or other unique physical representation. That means a flea swinging from your fucking nutsack constitutes as biometric data, all right? Unique electronic identification number, address, or routing code, or telecommunications identifying information or access device as defined in Title 18 USC 1029E. All right, let's go further. So we go to, hold on, my voice needs just a minute here. All right, so now we're going to move on to Title 18. We're in Title 18 1029. Fraud and related activity in connection with the access devices, all right? Now, access devices, as I stated before, is all governed underneath the United States Postal Service, the Inspector General of the United States Postal Service, as well as the Federal Trade Commission, the FDIC as well. I have it somewhere up here. But anyway, needless to say, Number 6 says, without the authorization of the issuer of the access device, knowing and with the intent to defraud, solicit a person for the purpose of offering an access device or selling information regarding or an application to obtain an access device. Okay, so more on identity theft, which we already covered in the Fourth Amendment.
I'm going to stop there right quick. You getting a ticket. Are they or are they not selling that information? They're fining you $200. They're selling. They call it a fine, but it's a sale.
Now, this is the Hobbs Act. Nobody really talks about the Hobbs Act, but the Hobbs Act is very important. It's near and dear to my heart. It was pointed out to me a long time ago. It's under Title 18 USC, subsection 1951. This chapter focuses on the Hobbs Act, which prohibits actual or attempted robbery or extortion. What is CPS doing, ladies and gentlemen? Not only are they engaged in theft of property and robbery, they're also trying to extort you of something. What are they extorting you of? Your life source energy, causing havoc on your reputation, on your good name, causing you to sacrifice what the Heavenly Father has given you, which is the illusion of time, life on this planet, to do stuff constructive and be about His good works. And because of their nefarious activity, they are now lying, looting, pandering, stealing, thieving motherfuckers that are causing you harm, damage, and loss, stealing your property that was gifted to you by the Heavenly Father above with no just cause or merit nor consent for them to use your private intellectual property in the inducement of robbery and extortion of your time and your life source energy. Section 1951 also prescribes conspiracy to commit robbery or extortion. So even if them rat bastards are over there talking about doing this shit to you, it still constitutes a crime. That crime is conspiracy. As you know, if you've ever known anybody that slung weed or anything else, it's far better to get caught in possession with a scale and weed than it is to be found guilty of conspiring to distribute weed or anything like that, because a conspiracy carries a hell of a lot more time in prison versus just getting caught with it flat outright, all right? Without reference to the conspiracy statute in Title 18, subsection 371, which we're going to get to in a minute, although the Hobbs Act was enacted as a statute to combat racketeering and labor management disputes, which is exactly what they're doing, RICO, racketeering, organized crime, the statute is frequently used in connection with cases involving public corruption. Motherfucker, right there in your fucking face. Commercial disputes, which they're engaged in commercial activities, because as I stated to you before, Title 27, CFR 7211, all crimes are commercial. Grand robbery, larceny, grand theft auto, rape, murder, pillaging, fleecing, it's all fucking under Title 27, CFR 7211, all right? Violent criminal and street gangs, well, that's what fucking the government and CPS constitutes as violent criminals and street gangs, as well as the IRS, having 89,000 new agents to go rape, rob, pillage, and run amok. And did I mention the Queen of England fucking recently died? Good riddance to that cunt. And corruption directed at the members of labor unions, all right? So this is underneath the Department of Justice, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm just pointing this shit out because it's important, and the Hobbs Act does constitute and cover identity theft, okay? Last but not least, Title 18 U.S. Code, subsection 371. Remember, as we were going through the Department of Justice, I told you that we would bring you back to Title 18 371, conspiracy to commit an offense or to defraud the United States. Are they defrauding the United States when they take your offspring, causing you stress, harm, damage, and loss? Yes, they are. Yes, they are, because now you're no longer a productive member to the United States, and they are missing out on valued tax dollars from your United States person, which is your Social Security juristic person, which is a taxpayer. Okay, and now that you have been caused stress, harm, damage, and loss, you're no longer productive anymore because you're spending all your fucking time worried about obtaining your property back. And that's cheating the United States Treasury, isn't it? Because otherwise your juristic person would probably be out there making lots of tax revenue, right? And paying lots of taxes. So they're cheating the United States Treasury, which in fact is cheating you because you're a preferred stockholder member in the United States Inc. And because of that, the United States now has a vested interest in taking on a fight for you. If two or more persons conspire either to commit any offense against the United States, what offense would that be? To hinder your production, your Social Security juristic person's production. Because why? You can no longer manage your estate because you're worried about your actual property that the Heavenly Father bestowed you about. So now your juristic person is lacking in production, which is cheating the United States Treasury of its taxes, all right? Or to defraud the United States or any agency thereof in any manner, or for any purpose, and one or more of such persons do any act to affect the object of the conspiracy, each shall be fined under this title or in prison not more than 5 years or both. That means in the administrative courts, where these alleged judges are nothing more than ministerial law clerks advocating on behalf of their private for-profit corporation, okay, as administrative law clerks, working on behalf of Title 42, 666, Bill 666, lodged underneath the executive branch, violating the separation of powers clause, are openly admitting that they're violating Title 18, where they are pretending to be an official of the United States, wearing a black robe, masquerading on the bench as some type of judicial authority, when in all actuality, they're not a judge, they're administrative clerks working on behalf of CPS to fleece you and cause you hardships, all to unjustly enrich themselves under the guise that they are an official employee of the United States government, which they are not. Newsflash. If, however, the offense, the commission of which is the object of the conspiracy, is a misdemeanor only, the punishment for such conspiracy shall not exceed the maximum punishment provided for such misdemeanor. Ladies and gentlemen, identity theft. I present to you identity theft, the elements of identity theft, and who, what, when, where, why, and how are your best motherfucking friends. Take this information, nail the nuts to the wall. Thank you very much for providing me a platform to provide you such information. And again, I got a class coming up. This class is going to be so fucking badass. If you think this information was detailed and hard-hitting and high impact, wait till you see this motherfucking class. It's going to blow you off your fucking socks, all right? So, with that said, I love you. Share this information with your friends, your family, your constituents, your community fucking leaders, the city board, the city council, the county council, because all of them are engaged in a conspiracy against your unalienable rights while engaged in commerce to unjustly enrich themselves and line their motherfucking pockets, all right? And once you inform them of it, they have no ability to say, well, I just didn't know, all right? So let's affix the liability to their ass and liquidate their fucking bonds for breach of trust, breach of their fiduciary duty, engaged in mixed war against the Constitution and the people of the United States. Let's hammer them for a violation and invasion of our privacy, for which the Fourth Amendment clearly establishes that we have an unalienable right to be secure in our persons, houses, papers, and effect as people, not as persons, as fucking people. Thank you. This has been an emergency broadcast, proudly brought to you by Self-Governance U and the supporting members of the organization. Thank you very much for your time. With lots of love and energy. Keep your heads held high. Keep your shit wired tight. And your head on a fucking swivel, as always. God bless.
People remember heartwarming nights. So bundle.
There you go, y'all. Alrighty. Do I need to say more? Alright. Till next time. This is We the People News. Bye, y'all.